13.
This is the sodden-soaked north lawn of the White House. Place now an avenue of mourners. Up the driveway here, up the walkway here this morning, there has started a parade of the official mourners of the United States government. They have been moving up in a steady stream, headed by the Chief Justice of the United States, Earl Warren, headed also by former President Dwight Eisenhower, who holds a special capacity in this. He and President Johnson led this period of official governmental mourning for the late President of the United States, John Fitzgerald Kennedy.
The expressions of sorrow, of course, have come from all segments of our population. Martin Luther King.
You have had attempts made on your life and have been threatened perhaps even tonight. What is it like to walk under this constant threat?
Well, it's often difficult, but when you live with it so long, you almost become immune to being afraid as a result of these threats. I guess you have to come to the point of looking at these things philosophically, and this is where I have decided to stand. I believe firmly that this cause is right, and that someone must have the courage and the fortitude to stand up for it, even if it means suffering or even if it means death.
Oh, well, I was very much shocked and hurt when I heard of the passing of the President of the United States. He was a good man, an able president, and he did a good job. And it's too bad that those things have to happen, particularly by some good-for-nothing fellow who didn't have anything else to do but to try to take the head of the state away from us. But we have to meet those things. It's been done time and again before. It was attempted one time, and I remember it very well, but it didn't succeed.
I imagine this reminds you of a time 20 years ago. How can you advise Mr. Johnson compared to you?
Mr. Johnson needs any advice, he'll ask me for it. He's the President of the United States. The man doesn't volunteer information to the President unless he asks for it. Too many of you did that to me, and I didn't pay any attention to you.
Have you been asked to call on the President now?
I have not.
Have you talked to President Johnson since he's taken office?
I have. I've talked to him.
Could you tell us something about the conversation?
I will not, because that's confidential. You ask the President if you want to find out.
What are your plans right now, sir?
Go to the hotel and sit down if I can.
Now, 23 hours after President Kennedy was shot in the streets of Dallas, the story is still unfolding very slowly as to what went through the minds of the assassin, and indeed awaiting positive identification of the assassin, although the police in Dallas, Texas are convinced they have the man. Now let's go to Dallas, where Nelson Benton talked with Police Chief Jesse Curry.
With this man's apparent subversive background, was there any surveillance? Were police aware of his presence in Dallas?
We in the police department here did not know he was in Dallas. I understand the FBI did know that he was in Dallas.
Chief, do you...
Chief? Practice for the FBI to inform the police and
yes.
Police department.
Chief, do you have...
We did not have.
But you were not informed.
We had not been informed of this man.
Chief, do you have any concern for the safety of your prisoner in view of the high feeling among the people of Dallas over the assassination of the president?
No, but necessary precautions will be taken, of course, but I'm not, I don't think that the people will try to take the prisoner away from us.
Do you regard the county jail as a more secure place to house the prisoner? Is that why you're transferring him from the city jail?
It's customary after a man is filed on that he be transferred. We only keep him in our jail until he is filed on. After he's been filed on, well, then he's the sheriff's responsibility.
Will there be extra police at the county jail to assure
I don't know.
When will he be transferred, Chief?
I do not know.
Where is the county jail?
At the end, about a block from where the president was killed.
This is Lee Henry Oswald, the man charged with the murder of President Kennedy, as he is led from the police headquarters in Dallas, perhaps being transferred now to the county jail. Let's switch down there and see if we can pick up word of it.
We do have this. The Federal Bureau of Investigation has asked us, and we join in with them in requesting that any person who was in the vicinity of the assassination yesterday, who was taking pictures, bring these pictures to the police department here. Anyone who has any information concerning this certainly should contact the police department immediately. But particularly anyone, and it's logical, I think, that since the president's motorcade was going through, someone in that area might have had cameras and might have been taking pictures.
The assassination was filmed by an amateur. CBS News had the film briefly at the time, but for legal reasons we could not broadcast it. This short clip is the most examined film in history.
Attenzione! Tanto per cominciare, sapete che abbiamo più di 10.000 uffici in tutto il mondo?
Learning how to talk fast is one way to save on international calls.
In French, Mr. Duffy.
Ah, bonjour, JVN, comment allez-vous, J. Drake.
German, Mr. Baldwin.
Hallo, mir geht es gut, wie geht es Ihnen? Ich möchte Ihnen gerne wichtige Ansagen über das Zeugnis der Firma machen, mit das über 10.000 Büros in allen Teilen der Welt unterhalten. Wussten Sie zum Beispiel, dass
Now, there's a better way to save with U.S. Sprint's international long-distance sale. Save as much as 10 to 34% if you call before November 30th and switch to Sprint.
For the 15 years preceding the Kennedys, the White House had been gray. Presidents Truman and Eisenhower were middle Americans, and their wives were plain and frugal. That changed with Jack and Jackie. You are watching scenes from a hastily prepared biography CBS News broadcast that weekend. Tapes and films were rushed from our vaults, and my colleague Harry Reasoner improvised from notes. As we look back from today, one thing was apparent. While Jack Kennedy was new and young, he was as old in the Cold War as his predecessor, Dwight Eisenhower. Kennedy made it clear in his inaugural address that he would go to any lengths to contain communism. And that was the message he brought to Cuba, to Berlin, to Vietnam.
Let the word go forth from this time and place to friend and foe alike that the torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans born in this century, tempered by war, disciplined by a hard and bitter peace, proud of our ancient heritage, and unwilling to witness or permit the slow undoing of those human rights to which this nation has always been committed.
Less than 4 months after John Kennedy took office, an assault was mounted on Cuba. In the pre-dawn hours of April 17, 1961, anti-Castro rebels landed on the swampy beaches of Las Villas province. Cuban forces beat off the attackers. The debacle came to be known as the Bay of Pigs disaster.